All right, welcome. Today, we are taking a deep dive into the world's largest island, Greenland. Now, this is a place that's just full of these incredible contradictions, a landscape that looks like a frozen wasteland at first glance, but is actually hiding some of the planet's most mind-blowing secrets.
You know, there's this old saying that I think just perfectly captures the vibe of this place. When you've seen the world, there's always Greenland. It makes it sound like this final frontier, the last truly epic destination. And honestly, in so many ways, it really is. This is a journey to a place that feels like a whole different planet.
So let's start with the name, or rather the names, because there are two, and they tell completely different stories. Greenland was, let's be honest, some seriously clever marketing by the first Norse settlers trying to get more people to come over. But the indigenous Inuit people, they've always called it Kalalit Nunat, which means land of the people. And that name, that speaks to a connection between humans and this unbelievably beautiful, harsh land that goes back thousands of years.
To really get Greenland, you have to start with the ice. I mean, it is the dominant feature. It's this colossal sheet of frozen water that basically runs the show. It dictates the climate, life, even the shape of the island. But this isn't just a frozen desert. Oh no, it's more like a vault, a time capsule, holding on to some absolutely incredible secrets.
Just try to wrap your head around this. A staggering 80% of Greenland is buried under ice, and we're not talking about a little snow cover. This is the second largest ice mass on the entire planet. The only thing bigger is Antarctica. It's a scale of ice that's almost impossible to imagine, the true ruler of this northern kingdom.
And here's why that ice matters to all of us, no matter where we live. If this gigantic ice sheet were to melt completely, global sea levels would shoot up by about 7 meters. That's over 23 feet. That would literally redraw the maps of coastlines all over the world. So yeah, what happens here is a really big deal.
But life? Well, life finds a way. Even here, in the freezing waters around the ice sheet lives one of the most amazing creatures on Earth, the Greenland shark. This animal can live for up to 500 years. 500! That makes it the longest living vertebrate we know of, a true survivor of the deep.
And the secrets just keep coming. If you could peel back that ice, you'd find some of the oldest rocks on our planet, almost 4 billion years old. You'd find fossils of lush, green forests from a much warmer time. You'd also find huge, untapped reserves of minerals, things like rare earth elements, uranium, zinc. And culturally, this is where the kayak was invented, an absolutely brilliant piece of engineering from the Inuit people for navigating this world of ice and water.
So with an environment this extreme, how do people actually live here? Well, let's take a little virtual tour, and we're going to start on the western coast. Thanks to some warmer currents from the Atlantic, this is the most hospitable part of the island. It's where about 90% of the population calls home. Our journey kicks off in Kangerlussuaq. Now, it's a tiny settlement, but it's got this super long runway, a leftover from its days as a US military base. That runway makes it Greenland's main international airport. It's the front door to the island and the main jumping-off point for scientists heading to the ice sheet.
From there, let's head to the capital, Nuuk. About a third of the whole country lives here, and it's this fascinating mix of old and new. It's a modern city, with schools, museums, hospitals, but it's also deeply connected to its Inuit roots. And of course, it's famous for those brightly colored houses, just these pops of color against the incredible backdrop of the world's second largest fjord system.
Okay, next up, we're going north to Ilulissat. The name literally means icebergs in Greenlandic. And trust me, it's for a very good reason. This place is known for one thing. It is the iceberg factory of the Arctic, and the view is something you'll never forget.
The icebergs here are just monumental. I'm talking giants, some towering hundreds of feet out of the water. They all break off this super active glacier called the Jakobshavn Glacier and just choke the fjord. And here's a wild piece of trivia for you. It's widely believed that the very iceberg that sank the Titanic came from a Greenland glacier, maybe even right from these waters. That gives you a sense of their incredible scale and power. And if you think that's remote, let's keep going up the coast. You find these beautiful, isolated towns like Uummannaq. It's this small settlement that's instantly recognizable because of the massive heart-shaped mountain that just looms over everything. It's like a perfect symbol of life on the rugged edge of the world.
All right, now for a quick-fire tour of Greenland's other wild coasts. These regions are way less populated, but they are absolutely no less spectacular.
First, let's head south. This is actually the greener part of Greenland. The climate's a bit milder, enough for some sheep farming. It's also packed with history.
There's a UNESCO World Heritage Site here that protects the remains of both the early Norse Viking farms and ancient Inuit hunting grounds, side by side.
And this is where one of history's great cold cases happened. Norse Vikings, led by Eric the Red, showed up in the 10th century and farmed here for centuries. But then, by the 1400s, they were just gone. They completely vanished. Historians still argue about why. Was it a cooling climate? Was it conflict with the Inuit who were moving in? Did their trade routes collapse? We just don't know for sure. All that's left are the stone ruins of their farms and churches.
Okay, now let's swing all the way over to the isolated East Coast. And if the West was remote, this is on a whole other level. This is a land of jagged mountain peaks, massive glaciers, and just pure, untouched wilderness. Small towns like Tassilok are just tiny outposts in this huge, powerful landscape. The east is also home to Scoresby Sund. So a fjord is basically a deep, narrow inlet of the sea that was carved out by a glacier. Well, Scoresby Sund is the king of all fjords. It's the largest and longest fjord system on the entire planet. It's this gigantic maze of channels, almost completely uninhabited. It's pure Arctic wilderness.
For our last stop, we are going to the top of the world, the extreme north. This is truly one of the most remote and unforgiving places you can find on this planet, where tiny communities have figured out how to survive at the very edge of everything.
This whole region is pretty much dominated by the Northeast Greenland National Park. And get this, at almost 1 million square kilometers, it is the largest national park in the world. It's bigger than all but 29 countries on Earth. Because it's so pristine and isolated, it's a critical lab for scientists studying climate change. It's a land of legendary polar expeditions and the unbelievable resilience of communities like Kanak, who are some of the northernmost people on the planet.
So, we've seen the jaw-dropping landscapes, but there's another really important side to Greenland's story. Its value isn't just in its ice and its beauty. It's also in its strategic location. That location has made it a quiet but very important player in geopolitics for a long, long time.
Just take a look at this quick timeline. As a territory of Denmark, Greenland's spot right between North America and Europe has always made it important. The US definitely saw that value way back in 1946 when it offered $100 million in gold for the island. And that interest hasn't exactly gone away. The idea was floated again as recently as 2019, though it was firmly shot down by both Denmark and Greenland.
And that brings us to our final thought. We've talked about its ice, its history, its culture, and its strategic importance. But when you put it all together, when you think about everything that makes Greenland so unique, so utterly epic, well, it makes you wonder, if it were ever for sale, what price could you possibly put on a place?